You think you know the story of the giant turnip, a cheerful Russian folktale, where a kindly old man plants a seed, and when it grows too big to pull from the earth, his family and animals join together until the mighty root finally comes free. It is told to children as a lesson in cooperation, laughter, and the power of unity. But what if I told you that the giant turnip was not originally a simple fable? What if the act of pulling that root was part of an ancient ritual older than the villages of Russia themselves? Hidden beneath the cheerful rhythm of this story, something far older, a memory of Earth's forgotten fertility rites, harvest ceremonies that once invoked spirits buried beneath the soil for over 2,000 years. This story may have concealed a truth about how humans first sought to conquer nature and awaken what slept beneath it. Once upon a time, in a quiet Russian village surrounded by endless green fields, there lived an old farmer and his wife. They were simple, hard-working people who tended their garden with care, growing everything they needed for the long winter ahead. One spring morning, the old man decided to plant a turnip seed. He pressed it gently into the ground, whispered a short prayer for good fortune, and waited. The days passed, then weeks, and soon the small green leaves of the turnip broke through the soil. But this was no ordinary plant. It grew taller, thicker, and stronger than any turnip seen before. Its leaves reached the height of a man, and its golden green stalk shimmered beneath the sun. When harvest came, the old man grasped it with both hands and pulled, but the turnip would not budge. He called his wife. She pulled behind him, yet still it remained. Then came the granddaughter, cheerful and determined. Then the dog, then the cat, and finally, the little mouse who had been watching from the edge of the field. Together, they all pulled with every ounce of strength, and with one mighty heave, the giant turnip burst from the ground. They laughed, they danced, and they shared the turnip in celebration. Each creature, no matter how small, had played a part in the triumph. The tale ends joyfully, teaching that unity makes even the impossible possible. Children remember it for its warmth and humor, the image of a mouse, helping to pull a root bigger than a house. Yet adults, who have tilled the earth and felt its stubbornness, sometimes wonder why this one turnip grew so vast, and why it took the strength of every living being to pull it free. But the tale of the giant turnip wasn't always told with laughter and light. The earliest recorded versions of this story appear not in children's books, but in fragments of old Slavic manuscripts from the 17th century, written in faded ink on parchment stored in monastery archives near Novgorod. These early versions are darker and more ritualistic. In one version, the old man is not a farmer, but a village elder, performing a sacred rite to awaken the sleeping spirit of the soil. The enormous root is not merely food, it is the heart of the earth, a living presence that grants fertility to the land. When he and his family try to pull it up, they are attempting to summon the hidden force of abundance from beneath the world. By the 19th century, Russian folklorists like Alexander Afanasyev collected and softened these tales. Afanasyev's popular 1863 version turned the once reverent ceremony into a humorous moral fable about teamwork and humility, aligning it with Christian and moral values suitable for children. The spiritual undertones of nature worship, ancestral offerings, and sacred harvests were quietly erased. Later, during the Soviet era, the giant turnip took on yet another transformation. It became a political allegory, taught in schools, each character representing the collective spirit of the working people. The mouse, the smallest helper, symbolized the strength of the proletariat, contributing to the success of the group. Through these retellings, the ancient power of the story was buried deeper and deeper, like the turnip itself. Its sacred and cosmic meanings faded beneath centuries of reinterpretation. What began as an invocation to the earth became a cheerful parable. Yet in old rural songs and pagan chants, traces of the older version survive, hints of a forgotten belief that something immense once slumbered beneath the soil. When scholars began comparing the giant turnip to other ancient stories, they noticed striking similarities. Across cultures, The act of pulling something sacred from the ground recurs again and again, always tied to themes of rebirth, power, and the renewal of life. In ancient Greek mythology, Demeter's priests performed harvest rites that involved drawing effigies of plants from specially consecrated soil, symbolizing the goddess's descent into and return from the underworld. The people of Mesopotamia celebrated the god Dumuzi, who was said to sleep beneath the earth through winter, only to rise again each spring when his followers lifted him through ritual reenactment. In Norse legends, there are whispers of Yggdrasil's roots, the world tree that connects the realms of gods, humans, and the dead. To disturb those roots was to summon the powers of creation and destruction alike. In early Slavic beliefs, the earth itself was a goddess known as Mat Zemlya, Mother Ground, whose lifeblood was the sap of the roots beneath her surface. Pulling up a root larger than any man could lift might have been seen as both an offering and an act of daring awakening the earth spirit from her slumber. Viewed through this lens, the old man of the giant turnip becomes something more than a humble farmer. He is a priest of soil and seed, repeating an ancient ritual of renewal. His family represents generations of humanity working together in the cycle of life and death, from eldest to youngest, from human to beast to mouse. The mouse, smallest and closest to the ground, symbolizes the bridge between the world of men and the hidden kingdom beneath. The story's joyous ending may once have concealed a deeper message, that life's bounty is won not through strength alone, but through reverence for the earth and the cooperation of all beings. Yet the ancient origin of that root, what it was meant to awaken, remains a mystery waiting to be unearthed. In 1989, deep in the plains of western Russia, near the ancient settlement of Staraya Ladoga, a team of archaeologists unearthed a series of wooden tablets buried within what appeared to be a collapsed ritual pit. On those tablets were carved spiral symbols surrounding a crude depiction of a man, a woman, and a series of animals: dog, cat, and mouse pulling at a massive root shape. At first, researchers dismissed it as an ornamental carving or perhaps an early children's drawing. But radiocarbon dating placed the wood's origin between the 9th and 10th centuries before any known written version of the giant turnip existed. Further analysis revealed that the pit had once been lined with stones arranged in concentric circles, containing offerings of grain, bones of domesticated animals, and fragments of woven cloth. These findings suggested that the site was a sacred agricultural shrine, a place where early Slavic peoples performed seasonal rituals to ensure fertility and survival. Similar symbols began to appear in unexpected places. In the Ukrainian steppes, petroglyphs showed scenes of men and women pulling great roots from the ground, sometimes with a serpent or spirit emerging from beneath. In northern Finland, archaeologists uncovered wooden idols of what appeared to be enormous vegetables, entwined with human faces, objects that may have represented the life-giving essence of the earth. As these discoveries multiplied, a hypothesis emerged among comparative mythologists. The giant turnip may not have originated as a simple story of cooperation, but as an encoded memory of an ancient agrarian ritual. The characters were not individuals, but roles within a ceremonial order. The act of pulling up the turnip symbolized the lifting of vitality from the underworld into the living realm, the renewal of Earth's energy that allowed crops, animals, and humans to thrive. If this theory holds, then the old man and his family were not fictional peasants, but echoes of priestly figures whose rituals bridged the human and the divine. The laughter that ends the story, who once have been a chant echoing through the fields of early Eurasia. To understand the true essence of the giant turnip, one must read its symbols as if deciphering an ancient code. The tale's simplicity conceals layers of meaning inherited from distant epochs when myth and agriculture were one and the same. The turnip itself is the axis of life, the root that feeds, but also binds humanity to the soil. Its immense size suggests not abundance alone, but the cosmic womb of the earth, the source of all nourishment. In old pagan cosmology, roots were seen as bridges between worlds, one end in sunlight, the other reaching into the dark, moist depths where spirits resided. To pull a root from that place was to draw the essence of life upward, a symbolic act of resurrection. The old man represents human will, the first cultivator who dared to disturb the slumber of the land. His wife embodies continuity and fertility, the eternal companion of the earth's cycle. The granddaughter symbolizes the new generation, those who inherit both the blessings and the burdens of their ancestors. The dog, cat, and mouse each correspond to elemental spirits within ancient Slavic animism. The dog, loyal and protective, guards the threshold between the known and the unknown. The cat, mysterious and nocturnal, embodies the unseen forces of the household spirit, or domo voi, keeper of domestic harmony. And the mouse, smallest of all, represents humility, the intermediary capable of slipping between worlds unnoticed. When the mouse joins the effort, the sacred balance is achieved. Only through harmony between human, animal, and spirit can the root of life be drawn forth. Even the act of pulling is deeply symbolic. Scholars of comparative mythology to ancient Indo-European rituals of raising the world pillar, a ceremony meant to sustain the universe's balance. In this light, the giant turnip becomes a story of cosmic renewal, a reenactment of humanity's partnership with the forces of creation. What modern audiences laugh at as a quaint family adventure may, in truth, conceal an initiation story, the reclaiming of light from darkness, abundance from barrenness, and spirit from the depths of the earth. The story of the giant turnip that we teach to children, filled with humor, teamwork, and a talking mouse, is only the surface layer of something vast and ancient. Beneath its soil lies the memory of humanity's earliest relationship with the living earth, a relationship expressed not through technology or conquest, but through reverence and ritual. When we hear the old man call his family to help pull the turnip, we are witnessing echoes of a forgotten liturgy. When the animals join, we are reminded of a time when humans saw themselves not as rulers of nature, but as its partners. And when at last the turnip is freed, what bursts from the ground is not just a vegetable, it is the renewed pulse of the world. Archaeology reveals fragments of this truth in carvings and soil layers. Mythology supplies its voice, whispering that what once was sacred has been remembered as a childish tale, so as that it could survive through centuries of forgetting. Perhaps that is the hidden genius of folk stories. They preserve ancient wisdom in laughter and simplicity. The giant root still waits beneath the ground of our collective memory, ready to be pulled once more by those who dare to dig deeper. So the next time you hear of an old farmer tugging at a massive turnip with his wife, his animals, and a tiny mouse, remember, you are not just hearing a story of cooperation. You are listening to a ritual older than written history, a dialogue between humankind and the soil that sustains all life. And if that thought stirs something deep within you, perhaps it is because the earth remembers too.